I think that's it for me, man. I think I am a little toasted.
You don't want it anymore?
No, I think I've had enough. I think we've hit the limit.
Suit yourself.
Oh.
Ooh, oopsie.
You sure you need that, bud?
Huh? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. This stuff is great.
You dribbled a little bit when you poured it.
It's all good, dude.
Yeah?
Yeah, man.
I mean, we've had like 6 already, my guy.
Ha!
Grayson, that's a liqueur. You're just drinking liqueur now.
You're a liqueur.
Oh, wow. Just right down the hatch, huh? Did you finish that bottle?
I'm good, man.
No, he did. Okay. What's going on, all you limitless lizards? My name is Mason.
And my name is Grayson.
And welcome to The Modern Dude.
A podcast by dudes, for dudes, helping dudes become better dudes.
Dude!
One of our favorite phrases here on The Modern Dude is the phrase, know thyself.
Facts.
Which can be utilized in many different facets of your life. This is applicable to anything from spreading yourself too thin to partying, which is a super big one, and to anything else where you're just being a yes man when you don't need to. Know your limits.
Yeah, this one's a doozy. I feel like it hits home for me looking back on especially my 20s and
This is a somber beginning. He said, looking back.
Well, I mean, it's just like the one that hits home for me the most is partying, you know.
Sure.
Like, I think the other ones are a little bit more on the nose.
Sure.
The partying's the big one, and it's probably what we'll talk most about. But
This episode brought to you by Pernod alcohol.
it's not. It's not.
It's not really. It's also just a random bottle we found for the skit in the beginning. This is kombucha.
Great. So, anyways, we aren't drinking. Actually, this is not alcohol. But yeah, I've fallen prey to overdoing it. You know, just a couple weeks ago, I fucking got obliterated for no fucking reason.
It was funny.
It was bad. And like, I just like got caught up in the moment, was having fun. And then all of a sudden I was knee walking drunk. And
These phrases. Last episode, jack wagon. Now it's knee walking. God, you're just a cowboy.
Yeah. The problem is, party like a cowboy.
It's like, in fact, I am.
Yeah, I fall prey to FOMO so easily. I love a good time. I'm a good time Charlie.
Yeah.
And I've had to start thinking about partying and drinking with parameters on it.
Definitely.
With limits.
Yeah.
Because I'm not fucking 24, 26, 27 anymore.
Just skip the 25. That was a free year.
I actually did really well in my 25th year. I took that year off. I didn't drink at all. No. But I was I just love raging. I loved raging.
Yeah.
But I can't do it anymore. I'm almost 35 and my body can't handle it.
Yeah, it means something else in your 30s, and it also means something else
beyond,
when
I'm sure.
Yeah, and it also means something else when you start feeling the effects differently from when you're like in your 20s and you're like, oh yeah, I can do this, and then like pass out and then
bounce back.
wake up and I'm like, oh yeah, crazy night last night, huh? Let's do it again. And it's like, man, I'm like, last night was crazy, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna be low key for a week now because I can't do that again.
Because my liver is screaming at me.
Well, my whole body just feels weird, you know? It's just different than in your 20s. And like, it's not to say that when you are in your 20s, if you're watching this and you're somebody in your 20s, you should still have.
This is still applicable.
This is still applicable for sure. But I also, like, I have friends and see people that are like in their 20s right now, and they're cruising and they're doing their thing and whatever. And like, who am I to say that you can't whatever, because I was doing the same shit in my 20s.
Here's what I wish. This is what I would say to myself, my old self. Now that I am, in my mid-30s, firmly in my mid-30s, I look back at old me and I see things that I could have done better, and of course that's how you grow, and I, there's no huge regrets, I don't think.
Yeah.
But there are some things that are like, man, that one still stings when I think about it.
Well, it's not. It's even specific things are one thing. It's more of like, for anybody who's in their 20s and they're raging, there are so many things that I wish I did in my 20s slightly differently.
Yeah.
I don't regret anything, because all of those times and all the people that I met and all the times that I had, all the ups, all the downs, it made me who I am today, and I'm proud of that. But also, if I'd been a little bit more, conscious of doing this as opposed to focusing on doing this or getting up and doing that thing.
Have a little bit more money in the bank.
I'd have a little bit more money in the bank. I'd maybe be a little bit farther along in my career, depending on what exactly it is. Yeah. And we go through flows. I had phases where I was very on the grind and working towards a thing. And then I had phases where I was not, and I was just partying. And, we all go through those things. So this is really about knowing what those limits are and knowing when to back off and when to have a little bit more fun. Personally, I have found it now, it's very advantageous to plan nights to have fun, because a lot of the time I think there's an allure, especially living in New York. There's like the random, all of a sudden, we're just in a bar somewhere and it's all of a sudden it's raging and there's karaoke going on and we're all wasted singing karaoke and people are high and doing drugs and we're all just like, wow, this is, and then all of a sudden the heroin comes out and I'm like, you ain't got this. I don't do that. It's just like in New York, it's so funny that like, because we all walk everywhere and because we don't have to worry about somebody's got to be a DD or whatever. All of a sudden
it makes it too easy.
It makes it too easy. It makes it too accessible. And then all of a sudden you're out and everybody's having a good time. And you have to step back and go, I need to go home. Which is like kind of hard to do when you're out and about. And you also can jump on a subway and cruise home and you don't have to worry about parking your car. Or a lot of the time, you're within walking distance of where you live anyway. So you're like, shit, I can just kind of whatever. And then I can just kind of roll home and pass out. And it's knowing those limits and like and planning those days to go out and have fun. Because then you can really enjoy them. Because if you do that too much,
it becomes not fun anymore.
It's not fun anymore.
Yeah, Grace and I literally talked about this the other day. Not even planning this episode, I don't think. We were just like, maybe we were, I don't know. Regardless, we were just like, man, if you get on a bender and you just like are going and going and going, that becomes like the norm.
Yeah.
And then it's not exciting anymore. No. You're just doing it because it's habitual and almost addictive,
it's very addictive. And also it's money too.
Yeah. Oh, God.
When you're not drinking, when you're taking it easy, you're saving so much money, you're saving so much energy, you're saving so much time.
Productive.
Yeah, and you're just more productive. Like, and that's, if you don't want to be productive, if that's what you want to do and you're happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. There's some people that like I know people who work in corporate that like that's how they blow off steam. Like they grind all day and then they go out at night.
Work hard, play hard.
Yeah, which is fine. I think that is fine. But also I think like you got to be careful and make sure that you have healthy habits too.
100%.
And again, speaking from wild experience.
Yeah.
Like I just got back on my workout grind. And trying to introduce that into my. It's becoming habitual. I've been doing it for almost 2 months now.
Yeah.
A month and a half. They say it takes 2 months to form a habit.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to do more healthy habits things so that it counterbalances when we want to go out and
Right.
and indulge, a little bit here, blow off some steam.
Yeah.
But like I have no problem with people partying a lot because I've been there and I think there's a lot of people that probably do it and are still productive. But you definitely want to like reel it in sometimes. You got to check that shit.
Well, I think
You got to know your limits.
you got to know your limit is really what it is. Like, it doesn't matter if you do it a lot and you're still productive and you're fine. That doesn't mean that, if you're going past the limit too much, you might wind up doing something really fucking stupid. And
I've been there.
we've all been there. And you don't. It's not a great feeling to wake up the next day not remembering
Oh god,
what happened the
that's
night
thing,
before, and your friends going, "Oh, dude, you don't remember," or getting some text that you're like, "What is this conversation?" Like, that's never, in my opinion, that's never like a good thing per se.
Well, it comes back to know thyself,
Right.
Like if you know that you turn into a belligerent asshole after
Right.
too many drinks, then don't fucking drink that. Know where the limit is.
Know
that
where the limit
in
is.
between drink 7 and 9 is when you become dickhead McGee.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been the type
so
that
stop at 6.
if I'm too fucked up, I smoke bomb and I just like disappear.
Irish
like-
goodbye.
I big time.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not even gonna be the moment but I know what that limit is. I understand what that is, and the moment that I start going, oh wait, this is I'm feeling it. Oh, the room's doing. Oh, gotta go, because I'm not gonna be an engaging person, and like that doesn't.
But even
that's
before,
very few and far between now
but
because
even
like
before that, like you don't have to be blackout drunk for that to know that limit. Like yeah,
right.
it's-
That's what I mean. Like those are like
an extreme
extreme
example,
cases
yeah.
of like few and far between that I've gotten there and I'm like, oh shit. But regardless, like it's okay to like with FOMO being your thing. Like I'm not so much of a FOMO person because I know that there's always going to be another fucking night. There's always going to be another thing, and I also love to just. Because once I go out, I love being out. Once I go out and we start doing the thing, I love doing it. And I don't want to go because I want to like hang out with friends and have the whole night. But I'm also good with, and that's why I'm like, I'm not going to go out. I'm just going to stay in. I'm just going to whatever. Because
Lean into
sometimes
it, yeah.
going to do like, yeah, I'll go and catch one drink.
that never happens.
It's,
Especially
it can.
for us New Yorkers that like
It can, but being in New York and like,
or being in a community where like going to
there's a lot of
bar is-
people. It's
yeah,
not just like,
accessible.
that's the thing is like people like to meet up with a friend and have a drink, but that's because you're meeting up somewhere and seeing that friend and catching up with that friend and having that drink. Where we live, if we go, hey, let's go in the neighborhood and catch a drink, I'm going to see probably like 8 to 10 other people that I also know,
Oh, God.
and we're going to wind up talking to them too, and people
And
are going to be coming up and saying, hey, and then they're
the
going to,
places
let's buy you a
we
shot, and then
go,
it just
yeah,
goes and goes and
people
goes and goes.
are
and goes.
very communal in New York, and like they go to the places they know, the
Right.
places they like, and when
Creatures
you
of
go
habit.
there, there's gonna be peer pressure to have a drink with me, have a shot, blah blah blah, and you just
Yeah.
get all of a sudden you within an hour you've had 3 shots and 2 drinks. You're like, holy fuck, this has
Right.
gotten out of hand already.
Right. And it's easy to just be like, yeah, of course, because that's the norm, as opposed to being like, hey, man, not drinking tonight.
I started setting limits for myself.
Don't want to get there. Don't want to whatever,
Limits are great. Mary
yeah.
Grace, my fiance, has helped me be like, all right, how many we having here? What
Yeah.
are we doing today?
Rachel,
and like,
my girlfriend's done the exact same
and
thing.
we try and cap it. Even a fun night, we try and cap it like 6 drinks.
Yeah.
That's plenty.
That's honestly, I'm pretty toasty if it's
Yes,
6.
yeah, like, and for some people watching, be like, 6? Be like, you have 6 drinks?
I'm crazy off too.
No, yeah.
Also depends on what you're drinking. I mean,
Sure,
there's different,
for sure.
but-
No more shots. I'm just saying it for me. I just need to stop. No, but so I guess that's mostly the know thyself and set limitations for yourself, especially with the partying aspect. But there are other things that like that we added to the list.
Yeah.
Besides partying.
Yeah, I mean, besides partying, I mean that's that's just something in general. Like everybody, I think, has struggled with that at some point. And
Well, it really can affect. One last thing, it really can affect your life, your social life, if you start getting wasted and doing stupid shit when you're drunk. Like you can burn bridges, you can fuck up friendships.
Not to mention health. You know, I mean, too much of that can really fuck with your health too.
Absolutely.
You know, so you have to. You just have to. Yeah, you got to know those limits because
I broke my fucking ankle because I was wasted one night.
There you go. So it's like you've got to know your limits in that way too, because you know it can affect people around you. It can affect your mental, your physical, everything. You know, and it's fun, and I get it, and we like to do it, but you've got to. It becomes less and less important to go out and have that drink, and more important to get up and have a nice productive day, you know?
Oh yeah.
And there's other things too. I mean, speaking of productive days, I think what goes hand in hand in knowing your limits is like productivity and knowing what you can. I struggle with this a lot, is knowing what you can say yes to and what you need to be able to say no to.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing that happens as you get older. I am the king of spreading myself too thin. I want every single day to be jam-packed from Monday to Sunday. I have this and this and this and this, and then I go to work from this time to this time, and then I'm going to get up early the next day to try to do this thing. And as I've gotten older and I've realized I have this podcast that we want to do, I have a full relationship, I have a dog, I work full-time, I have a full music career that I'm focused on. I am an actor, I do self-tapes, I do voiceovers.
Hashtag humble brag over here.
Anyway, the point is, I have to figure out how to balance those things, and it's really, really hard. But that's just me. Everybody has a bunch of shit that they try to balance and they try to figure out, and it's like when you're saying yes to too many things, you have to know when to say no, and you have to know when to like space things and take breaks and be honest about it, because it's always been hard for me to do that, because I want to. This harkens back to what we were talking in the last episode. Like, I don't want to let anybody down. I'm a giant people pleaser, and that is to my detriment a lot of the time, because I really want everybody to get what they need and everybody to get that like space and everybody to.
I could use a little more.
Anyway, this is what I'm saying, and I don't want to let him down. So if he's going to say that, I'm like, well, how do you balance it? But you have to know, all jokes aside, you have to know your limits, and you have to know how much of your energy that you can give to different facets and different people, because, you know, people can, friends and stuff like that, you know, it's hard to, people not even realizing that they're doing it can suck a lot of your energy out, and you've got to be good with that, you know?
And like, not, you have to know when people are doing that, and you gotta
right.
know your limits on how much time you give. Yeah, you give your time to that person,
right?
Or, and it is such a fine balance, but that's good. Like, knowing that stuff. If you're aware of it, if you sit down and have that conversation, if you know thyself, then you can start to. I don't know if combat's the right word, but you can start to process that and make sure that you make the correct decisions for you, you know?
Right.
Because like, there's always going to be another thing to do. There's always going to be another fun thing to do. There's always going to be.
Right. That's the yes man mentality. It's like, it's hard because you're like on a day, like.
Even like some opportunities you have to like know when it's the right time or
right.
if it's good for you, if you're trying to fit, because if you try and fit something in that might be a really good opportunity, but then you only half-ass it, then it's like, well, that might be a bridge there, you know?
Right. And you might have been able to only half-ass it because you only had the energy to half-ass it because you had so many other things that you were doing. So it might not have been the right thing to do.
Prioritize things.
Got to prioritize it, man. Yeah. And that's
limits and priorities.
It's really, really, it is like maybe the like key to a happy, healthy life. And, you know, it's knowing when there were things that you were like, yeah, I'll go to that. And even if you say, like, this is another thing. If I say, yeah, I could go to that. I would love to do that. Let me see if I can fit it in. You've got to be able to be okay with, like, hitting somebody up and being like, I'm going to be honest. I know I said I could, but I can't.
It's a hard thing to do, and you're
can't.
going to let some people down along the way, and people are going to be disappointed potentially. But, like, you also got to look out for number one.
Yeah.
And because at the end of the day, that's all you fucking got.
Well, they also have to also realize, like, if they're real friends, they'll understand. You know, they get it. Like, if you're like, I want to do this, but I can't because I don't really have the time to do this other stuff, and I have to focus on that, you know? It depends on what the situation. If it's just some, like, we're going out to fucking party or something like that, that's not that big of a deal. But, like, if, you know, you said you were going to go help them with something, or you said you were going to...
That's different.
Yeah, you know, that's different. And it's hard, and you have to, if you're going to say that, you need to try to figure out how to prioritize it and balance it, and that's really hard, man. It's really hard if you're like, wow, I prioritize somebody else over me today, and I have to do that because I need to do the right thing, and I got to eat that, and it's tough.
Well, yeah, it's tricky wicket there.
Tricky wicket.
I'm just trying to get
what is going on? What these boomer phrases? Tricky wicket, Mason.
Yeah, it is a balance. Limits and balances, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I got, I think.
I know. We kind of already like gave the advice as to how to try to, you know, balance it. You know, schedules work really well for me. I don't know. It's different for everybody else, but a nice long itinerary of things that I need to like knock out. Love me some lists. Love me a calendar. It works different for other people, though. I mean, whatever it is that is going to help you get closer towards that balance, do it. Really do it. If that means not drinking for a month or something like that, or if that means like just focusing on one thing and telling other people like, I can't do this other thing because I'm really trying to focus on this one thing, you got to do that. It's hard, and like you don't want to feel like you're being like selfish, but like sometimes to achieve certain things and to get to certain places, you kind of have to do that.
Well, it's sacrifice, you know.
You have to make those sacrifices, man.
And that's what limitation is. A sacrifice. You're cutting out things so that it's a sacrifice. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, this one's kind of deep, actually. Okay.
Alrighty. Transition.
Well, we hope you enjoyed the discussion today. If you have any questions, comments, or general kerfuffle, you can go to GraysonMason.com and shoot us a question, ask us things, comment on things. All of the content's on there. We'd love to hear your takes on limitations. You can also visit us on all social media platforms at Grayson and Mason. On Instagram, we are at The Modern Dudes.
Let us know what other things like are limiting factors besides the three things that we talked about. I'm sure we've missed some things, and I'm curious on y'all's take.
Yeah. 100%. And as you're watching right now on YouTube, we're at Grayson and Mason. Please leave a comment. Please subscribe. Please share with your friends and let people know.
Super crush. Yeah.
Super crush.
Subscribe.
Hundo P.
Down here. Right there.
Man, that's bad.
I always wanted to do that. I think it is. It's over
You feel
there.
good about it?
Yeah.
You would be on the left. You're on the left right now. So it is underneath you.
No, it's underneath you.
Oh, is it underneath me?
Yeah, because we're looking this way. Anyways, we're dickweeds.
Okay. Don't forget.
Oh.
Do your due diligence.